Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Vocal Arts. I'm your host, Peter Barber, professional singer and music producer, and I just had the great pleasure of speaking with the fairy voice mother, aka Lolli Wren. It's her real name. She's so brilliant. She's so fun. She's so funny. She's immensely talented as a singer. She has spent so much time researching and learning about the voice, and I genuinely consider her to be the best vocal analyst on YouTube. And I'm saying that as a vocal analyst on YouTube. Truly, I think she's absolutely excellent. So please sit back, enjoy, put your hands together, give a warm welcome to Lolli Wren, the fairy voice mother. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Vocal Arts, wherever you are watching or listening from. I am here with the wonderful fairy voice mother. Will you please tell everyone a little bit about yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
Oh, okay. I am a voice person. My whole life is dedicated to everything to do with the voice. I'm a vocal arranger and producer, vocal researcher, vocal coach, and I am a singer and I write songs for myself and for other people. And I make YouTube videos about many of those things.
Wonderful. Just a vocal expert, y'all. We're here with a vocal expert. And what's your name? Can you reveal your name? Do you reveal your name to people?
My my name may be revealed at this day. Lolly. Well, Lolly is my name that most people call me, but my Christian name, as it were, is Lauren. But
Okay.
it's not something that I'm called often by people, even in my family. So Lolly is like it's like a stage name, but it's a real life nickname as well. So
I love it. It works so well. Let's go back to around the time when you were being named. Just kidding. We'll go a few years later. What was
okay.
your upbringing like? Did you grow up in a musical household? Was there encouragement from the parents to be interested in music and playing instruments and things like that?
Quite the opposite. I begged
Mm.
my mum for flute lessons and, well, lessons in any instrument. We settled on flute because she thought it would be the quietest out of the other options like violin and whatever. And then she would just we had to sort of have a bit of a treaty about my practice time because I wanted to play all the time, and she was like, "Well, not when Judge Judy's on TV," and I was like, "Please," and she was like, "No, do it in the garden." So yeah, no, not a music loving family at all. My mum and dad are not. Not only are they not musical, but they don't even really listen to a lot of music. So I
Mm.
am just random.
Interesting. So you kind of had to really forge your own path there as far as music goes. Did you get
Yes.
involved with shows like musical theater or any kind of performance when you were in, say, middle school or high school?
Um, so I danced as well. I'd been trained in dance for like 15 years. But in terms of performative arts, I didn't do that much because I was so first of all, I spent a lot of my childhood depressed. So I
Mm.
say it with like laughing because it's funny now. No, it's not really. But yes, I was a kind of depressed child, and I had a lot of I was very reclusive, and I needed to have my own sort of personal experience with music for most of my childhood before I really felt like I could share anything with anyone. I started singing for people when I was 11. I just sort of decided that, okay, let me just try and let me see if I can hold a tune in front of people. And everyone was like, what, when, how? Because I sang in my head, sort of thing, because I was so shy.
Mm.
And yeah, and then I just gradually built in confidence from then. And then I started teaching when I was sort of 16, 17 as an assistant for musical theatre academies, having no prior experience of musical theatre. I just sort of taught them in terms of the voice because I'd started studying voice. And then, yeah, just teaching others is what gave me the confidence to perform, really. So I have my students, no, all the students I've ever had, I have each of them to thank for the person that I am today, which is why I am so passionate about teaching, because it is such a symbiotic relationship, and
Hmm.
it's developed my character. So yeah, that was a long answer. I'm sorry.
Long answers are great. We have a whole hour to fill.
Okay.
So what do you say? Feel free to it's the word you use on your channel. Bang on. Bang on about the
Oh,
voice. That might
I
just
do
be
bang
like a
on.
maybe just that's a UK thing, not just
Yeah, it
specific to
is.
your channel. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were actually, I mean, were you like reading research papers about the voice when you were at the ripe young age of like 15, 16?
Yes.
Wow. That's incredible. I really didn't care at all about how the voice worked for until much later than that.
Aw. Do you know what
That's
it is? I think,
amazing.
well, my family does not have a lot of money at all, and I developed this passion for voice, and voice lessons happen to be expensive, and so I knew that I wasn't going to get any. So, if I wanted to figure out why my voice did certain things, my voice, which I love so much because it just every day seemed to become more and more of my identity as I fell in love with it. I needed to figure out what how it worked. And so my voice as a teenager used to crack a lot. I used to just constantly sound like I was doing a Shakira impression in daily life, and it was annoying because it would hold me back. So I would read and experiment, and yeah, that started from then really. In lieu of having a formal vocal education that costs money. Again, one of the
Yes.
reasons why I like to make videos about vocal technique, because I would have loved that when I was poor and wanting to learn.
It is shocking how much education for music costs.
Yeah.
I don't know it's probably similar in the UK. No idea about Portugal, but I mean in the US, you go get a music degree and it costs the same as getting a finance degree or a business
Yeah.
degree, whereas the people going into music, it is much more difficult to make that money back going into music. You really have to nail it or hit it big somehow, right?
That's that's a good
Um,
point.
it's wild. And the institutions really, I mean, they are businesses at the end of the day.
Yes.
And so unfortunately, and I don't know if you, and we'll talk about this in a minute, where you ended up, if you ended up in school for formally studying, but here how it kind of works is schools will accept a lot of people that are not quite as good as the top people they accept. And then they give the scholarship to the top students who really do have a shot at some
Mm.
kind of career. But then the students who don't really are stuck paying all the money.
Hmm.
It's a really twisted, sad system. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
Did you?
American education system is brutal from what I've heard. At
Yeah.
least in the UK, there are government loans which you only pay interest on once you've started to earn over a certain amount a year and stuff like that.
Mm,
So it's still expensive, but it's doable even if you come from no money at all, which was me. So I was able to go and study and do degrees without any financial help from my family at all because of the loans in place and stuff like that. So yeah.
that's great. Where did you actually end up studying, and what degrees did you pursue?
So, well, I did like a 1 year access course because I dropped out of school, and that led me on to doing a degree in a Bachelor of Music in Vocal Performance in London, and then I started my master's degree in vocal pedagogy a few years after that, which am yet to finish because of the amount of things that I want to do for it. It's just all of the research piles up, and then I change my mind, and then I want to pursue other things, and so yeah, that's an ongoing process. But yeah,
Which school is that with for the masters?
it's a voice study centre. It's accredited by a university, like University of Wales, but it's a specific voice degree, and so I think they only do degrees, the master's degrees in voice.
Hmm.
So it's very
Okay.
specific. Yeah.
And your undergrad was in vocal performance. Was that mainly classical? Which is usually, if you study vocal performance in undergrad, usually it's classical based.
No, it was contemporary. So,
Really?
yeah, I
Huh.
don't still don't know pretty much anything about classical music. It was contemporary
Huh.
divided into jazz, rock, metal, pop, country, and that's all I can remember.
What did I mean, how was the education structured around pop music? That's so interesting. I mean, like classical, it's been around for so long. I mean, it's the main thing I do. It's the main thing I've studied, opera. And
Okay.
there's a pretty set way to learn just like the technique and the
Mm,
languages and the
mm,
diction and the history and stuff like that. I've always wondered about teaching pop and teaching pop singing because there's not like I mean, there's so many different voices and so many different things make pop singers interesting and cool. And
yeah.
often it's a lot of what they kind of have naturally, bringing their natural voice to. Whereas opera is like building a voice. It is like audio, it's like vocal engineering to be like super big, loud, efficient, total control over 2 octaves, right? It's a very different approach vocally. So like I'm very curious what the education looked like for you in the pop world in your undergrad at uni.
Likewise. Yeah, and yeah. At college. No, I'm kidding.
College.
Um, at college, I'm likewise so interested in your education because it's like very different.
Yeah.
It's very different to mine. So cool. Yeah, so the pop degrees are usually divided in terms of a genre sort of per semester in terms of the performance aspect of it. So for one semester, you might be doing country. So you'll learn all of the vocal techniques associated with country. And so, for example, twang, how to produce twang, what that is anatomically, and other stylistic things that you might want to include in terms of your phrasing and emphasis on certain lyrics or whatever, dynamics, that sort of thing. And then you'll have to learn between 3 and 5 songs per genre. And you just learn it by yourself. And then you perform it every week with the other instrumentalists on the degree. So the people doing the drum degree, the bass degree, and the guitar degree.
Hmm.
So you have to learn it exactly like that because you don't get to rehearse. So yeah, there's that element of it. And then there's a lot of sight singing. So reading scores and just singing them with instructions to sort of simulate what it would be like if you were to be a session vocalist.
Mhm.
Then the music theory is quite intense when you do a Bachelor of Music. That's like the difference between a Bachelor of Music and a Bachelor of Arts, apparently, is that the
Mhm.
actual music theory element of it is more complex, like functional harmony and stuff like that, really,
Mhm.
modes and
Mhm.
whatever, boring stuff. And keyboard skills, that's part of the degree as well. So you have to learn how to play keyboard. And composition, you have to do vocal arranging. So that's how I started training to be a vocal arranger as well. I got inspired. That I did an elective module there for arranging production. So yeah, you learn how to do voicings and in terms of harmony, what sounds good in what kind of voice type, and how to create backing vocals, how to be a backing vocalist, which is a completely different skill. You have to make sure that if you're a backing vocalist, you're always complementing the lead vocalist in terms of frequency. So yeah, just basically everything except really building the voice itself.
That's that's really amazing and really cool that you get to perform with a band in a number of different genres based on your
Yeah,
semester. So you had to perform some country songs, did you?
I did.
Because that's where I'm from. I got most of my family's from the South in the
I can
States. You
really
can hear
hear
it
it
now.
now.
It can come out now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It comes out from time to time. Um, and so, I mean, I grew up with country. I absolutely love country music. Do you remember which songs you performed?
Yes, I did. So there was like more of a pop country one, which Carrie Underwood.
Oh yeah, she's great. Great voice.
Yeah, it was. Um, If it wasn't for guys like you, there wouldn't be songs like this. That one.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
what's his name? Me neither. I'm glad that you agree. Believe me
Oh
that
yeah, what?
this crowd and this music is so loud. Me neither by country singer.
Jason Aldean?
No, that doesn't ring. Brad Paisley.
Oh, Brett. Yeah, of course, of course. But he's got some great songs. Also, wicked guitar player. My
Oh
buddy,
yeah.
my buddy George, has been a professional guitar player in Nashville for like a decade. We actually moved there together for a summer back in
Oh
2015, and he stayed there while I went back to finish my degrees. And he's absolutely incredible guitarist. And he says Brad Paisley is like the god of guitar.
wow.
I know.
So many
Brad
little hidden
Paisley,
gems
John
there.
Mayer. Brad Paisley and John Mayer are
Oh yeah.
two of the absolute top dogs for guitar.
Oh yeah, I love John Mayer.
Did you get to
Yeah.
what were some other genres? Did you do rock? You have a rock
Yes.
semester?
Yeah, we did rock um, and metal. So we did Hailstorm
Oh,
and Tool and more stuff that escapes me.
did you
Yeah,
get instructed how to sing with like metal grit
no.
and stuff like that?
No, we didn't. And that still bugs me to this day because I was erroneously told by this educational institution, along with my peers, that that sort of thing is not safe to replicate, which we now know
Right,
to not be true.
right.
So they said, no, just sing it with a lot of rage and that will do. You don't have to do the growly screaminess. But I did try.
hmm
And I don't know what it sounded like. Luckily, there's no footage of any of these performance assessments. But yeah,
So there
yeah,
was no part of your of the vocal education was in classical music.
nope,
Did you have to sing in a
nothing.
choir or anything like that?
No, just for when we did sight singing, we had to sing with other people and see if you got the note right in the, because you would know if you're off, if, you're making a bit of
Yes.
a crunchy chord, but nothing choral, nothing classical at all.
Did you have voice lessons?
No,
No voice lessons in a voice degree.
no. Well, we had one one-to-one assessment a month, but it wasn't really a voice lesson. No, it was purely study. I think they probably changed it, but when I did it, yeah, there wasn't personal vocal coaching, no. So I still haven't had any singing lessons. It's just things that I've studied, replicated, and then with supervision of supervisors, professor people. Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, you do learn a lot by teaching for sure.
Yeah.
And teaching's your thing. Let's move into your teaching. So you started teaching many moons ago when you
Hmm.
were getting into vocal research, and you've kept on and kept on. And it sounds like you've always been more interested in teaching than, say, a career in performance.
No, I hid behind teaching because I was too scared.
Oh, the truth
And
comes
so,
out.
yeah.
Mm.
And so now I have, well, I've got an album coming out in November, and it's years and years of writing and trying a little bit, but not fully trying, and eventually getting to a point where I'm like, no, enough is enough. I have to do this now, and I'm not scared anymore. And now I'm very, very much pursuing my original music. So this album is all my own songs that I've written and arranged, and I've already done a launch of it, a performance festival, and yes, now I am really feeling comfortable with my two lanes that I love so much, which is teaching and performing, just coexisting.
That's fantastic.
Thanks. We'll see.
That's really, really all. What kind of music do you write? What kind of genres do you pull from for your original songs?
Um, I love what they call world music. So lots of fun instruments that you're like, what is that? What is that random sound. I love stuff like that, fused with pop and rock, and I love a cappella music. So
Mm.
there's like the intro is a cappella, and yeah, just fusion is my favorite thing. I love to fuse genres, and I like to be very illustrative musically with what I'm trying to say. So all of the songs that I write have very strong themes, and the music has to amplify that theme. And so lots of random things sound wise to tell the story.
When you write songs, do you write about personal things like you and your experiences, or do you write more about maybe things you observe in the world?
Um, so I started, well, okay, so I did an EP when I was 17, which kind of sucked. And then after that, I wrote songs. I moved to America for 6 months, and I wrote songs for other artists. And it was sort of like a song by prescription. So they would tell me what they want it about, and I would write it for them. And so I got good at pretending to be someone else and writing a song about someone else's story. And then so I just kept doing that when it was time to write a song for myself as well. I would just make up stories and that sort of thing. But then recently, since I know since the YouTube channel, really, I've felt so enabled to be more personal since my real self that I have exposed on the internet has been validated so kindly by people saying that they actually like who I am as a person. I was like, oh, really? Okay, so maybe I'll write more about my my own stories. And so the this album is everything to do with my perspectives and stories. Yeah.
Awesome. And production wise, you said you'd taken classes in production. I've seen we're going to talk about your YouTube videos here shortly. There are little clips in your YouTube videos where you've clearly like recorded yourself and like layered vocals to match something you just heard by voice play or whatever. So you clearly know about recording and music production. I mean, are you producing this whole album, and are you hiring instrumentalists? Do you play instruments? How does the whole production side look?
So this album is, I would say, it's probably equally me and the producer, Eduardo, who is an absolutely incredible fountain of musical diversity and knowledge and skill, because he's a multi-instrumentalist and lover of Eastern music and progressive music, and a mixing and mastering engineer as well, but not so much a songwriter in terms of original ideas. And I have loads of those and little skill in terms of more of the technical aspect of soundscape and things like that. So yeah, we've just worked super well together, and that's it. It's just us two. There's been guitar featured on it by someone like a really good guitar player, Carlos Sanchez. But other than that, it's just me and him. No other mixing engineer, mastering engineer, recording engineer, nothing. We've done everything ourselves.
Fantastic. I think it's so important, especially at least in the first album or first couple albums, to like really be in there with it all the
Yeah.
time. Um, it's different, I suppose, if you get to maybe like pop star level and you might have a lot of people writing songs for you and you just go in the booth and track it and someone else takes care of everything else. But I think it's really cool and interesting to really see it from the ground up. And you'll be that much more connected to it when it goes out, knowing every step along the way.
Yeah, I just think it depends what your motive is. If you are interested in purely the sort of performative aspect of it and you just want to sing and perform, then that way, the pop star way, is fine. But the reason that I want to do this is because I want to tell stories and I want to make the songs. So I think even with a huge budget, it wouldn't be spent on hiring more people, it would probably
Yeah.
be spent on music videos because I love making music videos. I have two out already
That
for
was my
two of
next
the songs.
question, actually. If you have music videos planned for the album.
Yeah, there's two already. So there's two singles from the album already out, and there is another single coming out in a couple of weeks with all with music videos, and they're so fun
Hmm.
and expensive. So I
Hmm.
would like
Hmm.
them to to be better and to be able to like completely actualize all my visions. But yeah, that's what I would spend the money on. I would still want to do all the music myself.
Shooting music videos is the most fun thing
Oh,
in the
is it?
world. Truly.
Tell me about your experiences with that. I'm curious.
So in undergrad at uni, I was in an a cappella group, and that was probably my first experience shooting music videos, and it was usually just, you know, one day on set with whatever university guy we got to shoot. And even that was really fun because they're there with your friends, you're shooting, there's a couple cameras around. It's really exciting. And then that went away for a while, went fully into like the opera training for the end of my undergrad and my master's degree. And then the
Mhm.
pandemic hits, and I decide that first summer I just want to make one a cappella song and one music video to go along with it. And so that was when I started learning just about shooting. And at that point I was just doing like the little frames, and then
Mhm.
that went into green screening. And then the green screening is basically how I got connected with the Bass Gang, which is this musical group I'm in, which eventually led to us meeting up together in Europe last summer to shoot music videos with like full crew and makeup
Man.
and stuff like that. And truly I don't think there is I don't have fonder memories than like being on set shooting videos with the Bass Gang in the Czech Republic. Like that was truly a peak experience. And one other we in between when we try to get together in person, we're shooting green screen videos all the time, which are already pretty fun. I did raise a lot of money to shoot a solo music video for my cover of Enemy by Imagine Dragons, um, from this show called Arcane, League of Legends. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's an absolutely brilliant show with brilliant music. And I raised a lot of money to shoot a solo music video with a really great production company. Um, and that is probably that song and video is still like a very big achievement. And I remember
Mm.
it was like a 10-hour shoot that day. There's like, 8K cameras all over the place, and there's
Wow.
costumes and hair and makeup and everything. And there's like the gaffers, and there's this guy shooting a little behind the scenes thing. And I was like, this is heaven. Like
Yeah.
being in that environment was absolute heaven. So yeah, music videos, top tier. So fun.
That is so terrific. It's just wonderful as well that that is possible now independently. Like if you decide that that's what you want to do, you're like, okay, well, I need money. Okay, let's raise money, but you're doing it all by yourself. Obviously not the technical parts of it, but you can initiate that process. You don't need to wait for permission from any kind of label or anything. You can just get an idea and work and actualize that idea. And that is what's so sweet about it is just being able to make something so complete because like, all of the songs that I've made for this album, I can see the visual component for all of them, and I think it's so important to try and show that visual that we keep in our minds because music is a imaginative process in its creation. So yeah, music and visual is just the ultimate expression, I think, of yeah, of creativity. And I just yeah, I'm really excited about that for you. I'm excited to imagine your excitement doing that as well. It's just beautiful. It's glorious. I love it.
It really is. It really is. A wonderful thing that we both have now is platforms on YouTube with a very
Mm.
loving and loyal fan base, which is fantastic when we move into like music videos or releasing music because there are people that have joined on for the musical analysis stuff that
Mhm.
are like chomping at the bit to support for kind of whatever endeavor we go into. There was a crazy statistic I learned recently. I'm gonna bosh the numbers, but it's something like 95%, 98% of all artists on Spotify have fewer than like 50 monthly listeners. So it's just like a
Crikey.
tiny percentage of people that get anybody listening to their music. And something like
Wow.
having a platform like we do is you will immediately jump to the top couple percent of all artists on Spotify because there will be some number of thousands of people that are going to be like, I can't wait for your album to come out, which is really cool just to know that you get to make it and you pour your heart and soul into it, and people that support you are gonna hear it. So that's an amazing feeling.
It really is an amazing feeling. And it's just so funny how I describe my route into being able to be an artist as going through the back door that I didn't know existed, because everyone knows that some person that's decided now that they'd like to make music has a very arduous battle ahead of them in terms of trying to get it heard. Once you've even managed to get the resources to make it in the first place. But because I just sort of left it alone for a while and decided to pursue the educational element of it, because I just wanted that feeling of being able to teach someone something and it helps them. And I wanted that sort of nice fuzzy feeling. And so I just kept going. And then all of a sudden they are like inviting me and asking me to make things and sing. And I'm like, oh really, you want that? And so I went through this front door of education and sort of ended up going for another one to step into an artist career. And yeah, it's crazy, like the first song that I posted on Spotify, the first song, it ended up with like the 4,000 monthly listeners, and it's all tens of thousands of plays and things without really promoting it or anything. It's
Hmm.
just because the people from the wonderful, kind, generous people that watch our videos are genuinely supportive. And yeah, it still blows my mind.
Yeah, usually people go the other direction, at least for sure in the opera world. They go from trying,
Mm,
trying to have a career in performance, which is absolutely brutal in opera
yeah.
and musical theater and probably just about anything, any kind of performance career. It's just tough. It's tough to make a living, a comfortable living as a performer. But most people will try their lot in a performance
Yeah.
career and then dip and go into teaching and get a university
Mm,
position or just go into creating their own studio. It's not
mhm.
usually that the teachers go into performing. That's much less common.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose when you put it like that, and that's probably why you get the connotations of the sort of bitter, washed up teacher or whatever, because it is unfortunately that order. But I didn't teach because I had to. I taught because I really, really wanted to, and I still do. And even though my schedule now doesn't really shouldn't really allow for the amount of lessons that I teach, it's quite tiring doing that and all the other things. But I just have to. I have to do it because it's so fulfilling, and it keeps me going. Just knowing that I can help people expand and unlock their voices is so motivating for me. And I think it's the pillar of everything else that I do, because whenever I get to work on someone else's voice with them, I work on my own at the same time. It's just
Hmm.
the way that my ecosystem of jobs has to work. So
Yeah. Well, let's talk about building the YouTube channel. What really sparked that idea for you? And when did it start? And kind of when were you like, oh, this could be like at least part of my overall musical career. Like this idea, this YouTube channel has legs, basically.
um well, I started the YouTube channel when I was uh, financially broke and desperate. It was in the coronavirus period. of
Hmm.
of life. And I couldn't teach anymore because I taught at a lot of different theatre schools as the resident sort of vocal teacher. So I did the rounds and helped people with their voice. And I also had students that came to my apartment in London to work with me, and then they couldn't. And then I asked a lot of them, like, do you want to do Zoom lessons? They were like, no, we'll just wait because all the lockdown
Mm,
is going to go in like 2 weeks. And
yeah.
anyway, it didn't. And then everyone lost interest. So I needed to figure out what I was going to do because I had to pay bills. London is an expensive place to live, and I was
Hmm.
alone. So
Hmm.
I had to just be creative. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to try and advertise my services online and use different agencies for people that are looking to start a hobby now that they've got more time. And I got a couple of students, but I thought, well, why would anyone trust me? Because I am a faceless woman and they don't know anything about me. And, my profile picture was ridiculous. Like, I think I was wearing my pajamas. And anyway, it was just, I don't know what I was doing. It was all a bit of a crazy time. So I thought, I need to make a brand. I need people to see what I'm like because why should they hire me otherwise? And I started to just make technique videos on YouTube and as the fairy voice mother because I wanted people to know that they are the Cinderella and it is about them and it is not something to worry about to work with me because I care so deeply about working with the person that's sitting in front of me and I want to make all their dreams come true. So that did work. It got me loads of students. And then I had a full schedule of Zoom students and I wasn't broke anymore, which was great. And then one of these students, Bradley, said that he'd been watching vocal coach reaction videos on YouTube. And I was like, that sounds very boring. Uh, why would you want to watch someone watch something else?
Yes, I
um,
couldn't
yeah.
feel more strongly the same way. I remember
Right.
I avoided it for so long. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I did avoid it for so long. I posted just like once a month or something, like when a new song came out, or when one of my students was like, oh, I really want to know how this is done for a song that I like. So I just made videos about certain songs as and when people would recommend them to me. And then, yeah, it was worked very well. And
Hmm.
I suddenly got loads of views. And like, I wasn't even washing my face before I filmed these videos. It was like on an
Ah,
iPad. It was awful sound quality. I was like, a lot of them, I don't think I'd slept. And so I was saying like super weird, random things. And anyway, it was a completely unprofessional shambles. Oh, hang on.
oops, is that
Camera's
you?
gone.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, shambles. I'm a joke. That's the subject. And then I just decided to gradually see if I can improve things. So I got a camera that I now know how to work, and a microphone, and I just started to make more of them. And it built. I've been doing it seriously. Well, I say seriously, like one video a week for like a year and a half. Really is when I really started to do it frequently, and it's just become a way to learn a lot because all of the suggestions that we get teach us something else and expose us to new singers that I'd never heard of. I'd never
Hmm.
heard of like Dim Ash and
Yeah.
Ginger. I'd never heard of all of these artists. So I was just loving this process of being able to learn and figure out what these vocalists are doing, replicate it, and then explain how I did it because that is really the way that I became a teacher is replicating sounds, figuring out how anatomically it works, relating it to some whatever I know about nervous systems and whatever, and being like, yeah, you can do it too. You just have to do this, this, and this. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I remember it was same kind of thing. It was lots of people. I was in this Discord server, mostly for young bass singers, and they
Okay.
were all saying there are no bass singers, much less no like professional opera singers,
Mm,
making the reaction and analysis content. And I was avoided
hmm.
it because I really had a chip on my shoulder about just the straight up reaction videos that just
Yeah.
silly faces and loud noises. And fine, if that's your cup of tea. I didn't see the
Hmm.
value in it, so I didn't want to join that online crew. And then I remember I finally made a reaction video for Jeff Castellucci,
Uh-huh.
Far Over the Misty Mountains, and my analytics went absolutely nuts. And I had been putting
Mm,
out covers, like a cappella covers, for about a year. That started right at the start of the pandemic, and I was like, well,
hmm
if it's this is just, it's become so clear this is a great vehicle for building a YouTube channel, and it's longer form content. So for monetization, it's much better
Yeah.
than just doing covers if you can get copyrights cleared and all that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and here we are about 3 years later, I suppose, after the first one. And now it's a lot of fun. And now actually I was just thinking a lot of my listening, especially listening to new artists, just comes from the channel.
Right.
I mean, there's so much of my life, professional life on YouTube or performing that's music now. I find
Mm,
myself listening less,
mm,
which is actually helpful and actually makes me enjoy the recording sessions a lot more because I'm like, ooh, I get to sit down and like
mm.
dive into music.
Yeah. Yeah, just active listening being the huge bulk of how you take in your music as opposed to sort of
Yeah,
passive, you know.
exactly. I
Yeah,
want
I
to
get
talk to
it.
you about your video editing because the video editing for your analysis videos is much more involved than anyone I've seen. It's really fantastic. I have to like big time commend you on all the little things you do, and then you'll record a part yourself and line it up with. It's really in depth, and I mean, you must be the person editing your stuff because it seems so nuanced and like personal to you and like who you are.
Yeah.
So confirmed you edit all your own videos. And how much time does that take?
Yeah, so recently I have an editor that does last minute things like not last like finishing touches, make sure that the colors look nice, whatever. But still, the creative element of the editing is all me, and it's always been me. It just has to be me, because I wouldn't subject anyone to my raw footage. Let me tell you, the chaos. Like, I will start talking about something, and then I'll be like, no, 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 that's no, that's boring. Let's talk about it. It's chaos. Like, so much footage, so much random tangents, and I'll watch it back, and I'll think, what planet were you on thinking that this is interesting? Anyway, so yeah, the thing that I do when I like replicate a cappella things and I stack my own voice for it. All I do really is just like keep the pulse like on my arm and just sing all of the parts one after the other. And then when I edit it, I just cut them up and layer it on top. So it's just iMovie.
So you just track it through your podcast mic
Yeah,
and then layer it in the same project you're running the you're editing the video in.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It's just
Okay.
iMovie.
You just use iMovie?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah. I tell you what, though, I'm a bloody whiz at iMovie now. I could do iMovie seminars. I have maxed out iMovie's
Yeah,
capabilities.
I'm sure you have. I assumed you used Final Cut or Adobe Premiere or
Oh,
something
I
like
got the
that.
free trial and I was like, this is like a spaceship. I don't know what any of these words mean. I'm tapping out. Give me iMovie. I want to know. I want Ken Burns and like filters and that's it. It's just so
They
easy.
iMovie should sponsor your channel. I've never seen I've never seen work like that accomplished in iMovie.
Thank you so much.
That's your next channel, iMovie tutorials.
I mean, that's such a good idea. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My mind is wearing. Could just screen record my editing process. Which is yeah, to answer your question, it used to take me about 10 hours of video, but me and iMovie now have a deep bond, and it's good to me. I'm good to it, and now it only takes me about 4 hours per video.
Goodness. So I mean, well, that makes sense that you are doing one a week then.
Yeah,
Um,
I could
I just
not do any more than one a
I just
week.
do two, but I do have an editor, wonderful
Oh,
editor
nice.
named Mason, and but my videos are pretty much always just one take with no cuts later, unless I have to get up and go grab something. But he will um he will make really he'll keep people engaged with fun edits. He'll if I talk
Mhm.
about certain pitches, he'll put a graphic up. If I talk
Yeah.
about like this is the relative minor of whatever key, he'll have graphics up and
Hmm.
highlight the notes so people what's going on. If I do something silly, he'll do something silly, you
Mm.
know. But as far as the take, I mean, I'm pretty robotic in a lot of ways, which is funny why I've ended up in like the creative world and actually would definitely consider myself a very creative person with the music I make and stuff like that. But like when I shoot a video, it's very just like it's very clear. I'm almost never going off on tangents. Like I
Wow.
never need to go back to chop it up for it to like make sense.
Oh God.
Which saves a
Emotion.
which saves a lot of time on the back end.
That is my dream. I have gone to bed at night before praying that that is my reality when I wake up. It's just not. I'm just not competent enough at YouTubing. I just don't know how you do that. Like, how can you continuously string sentences together that make sense? I can't do it. I just can't do it.
I hope at least most of them make sense to most of the people watching.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Yeah. You would not have got this far if they hadn't. And yeah, I would love to do that. And a while ago, I know you're friends with Elizabeth as well, aren't you? Um,
Yes, I love her.
yeah, Elizabeth took me under her wing when I had like 40,000 subscribers, and she said, "My advice to you is just do all of your videos in one take." And I was like, "Okay, I will." And then the next day I come to filming, I did the intro like, "Hello, gorgeous. Today we're gonna look at uh it was I said they say it like this. It was like far over the mountains, Jeff Castellucci, Misty. Like that's what I do. I get words around the wrong way all the time, and then I say things that I'm like, that was probably inappropriate. Let's cut that out. And anyway, it's just that's
You are
it's just you know,
incredibly fluent talking about voice science and vocal techniques and tilting of the larynx and all these things, though. I mean, is that
yeah.
word salad when you first take a stab at it and then you chop it up and I mean, you clearly know so much about the voice and how it works and how to change things, which is wonderful. I mean, it's what makes your channel so great.
I think it's a symptom of ADHD, really. It's something that I've
Mm.
always battled with. But I hyper focus basically on the voice, and that is where I'm most comfortable talking about it. So I could talk fluently and cohesively about the voice and its mechanisms and whatever for hours. But as soon as it leaves that realm, I'm a disorganized, chaotic disaster. And that's just how I am. And I accept that now. But it makes the process longer. And that's just how it is. Yeah.
So if you're teaching, do you feel like in voice lessons you're very streamlined because it's all just singer sings, input, calculate, this is what we need to work on? So like
Yeah,
if you're in a musical context, it's very contained and organized, and then outside of music, it's chaos.
exactly. Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Yeah. The when I am in front of a singer, and especially if they want something specific, like if they want to work on their higher notes or if they want to develop distortion or belt or whatever, I hear them, I know exactly what to do, and so there's no problem. But in terms of music to and analyze a 4.5 minute song, I want to analyze literally everything,
Yeah.
which is boring and takes 2 hours. So that's why I have to trim the footage because often I just talk about way too much stuff and I don't know in the moment how to compartmentalize things
Mm.
unless I only talk about the voice. And I started the videos where I would ignore all the elements of the music and just talk about the voice. And that actually is much more streamlined.
Mm.
But then there are the more songs that come up, the more suggestions and the broadest scope of suggestions. I want to talk more about functional harmony and that sort of thing, and maybe emotional content of lyrics, that sort of thing. And
Mm.
then so yeah, it gets a little bit derailed
Yeah,
at that point.
you really have to pick and choose because like you said,
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what genre, there's so many things to talk about. The two main things for me are the voice and audio engineering, just because
Mm.
I've been producing music for like a decade. Started with
Oh, cool.
electronic music, and so that's a lot of just like creating soundscapes, synth design, um, big heavy sampling, bringing in orchestration, a lot of these kinds of things. And so
Wow.
I love talking about the audio engineering production side as well as the voice. And I try to really stick to that. But like some
Mm.
videos, you've got to talk about the lyrics or you've got to talk about
Yeah.
the actual music video as well.
Yeah.
And it has definitely been a learning curve, like learning, like figuring
Hmm.
out how much to say about one thing. Because you can really go into the rabbit hole for any of the elements, really.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
It's fun
Yeah.
though. It's so fun what we do. Um, do you have any intention to put out more than one video a week, or kind of what are your goals for the channel and for your music in general?
I think I am at peace with not being able to do more than one video a week, and that is totally fine with me now. I battled it for a while, but then when I started to do more videos, especially the way that I edit, I had to forsake other things, and I want to stay active in research. I've been making my album, and I want to keep that going. I also vocal arrange like for other people. I do many things, and I can't just do one of those things because, as I say, my ecosystem will just die if I don't do all of those things at the same time, I think. So the channel will just keep on channeling. And I am building a vocal course, which is probably the biggest project I've ever embarked on because
Mm,
it's going to be very multifaceted and anatomical explanations with all kinds of 3D graphics and different genres. And the point of this is to actually feel like you have a teacher watching you so that your mistakes don't hinder your progress. Because so often when I teach people this, it's just like, oh, it's just because your tongue is here and not here,
hmm
whatever. So I'm trying to design this way of people being able to have a vocal teacher in the realm of a course,
hmm
but that takes a lot of time. So
hmm
yeah, I just am really enjoying being present at the moment, and I've stopped expecting impossible things of myself. And I get up in the morning, I do whatever I can, I go to bed at night, and that's it.
Fantastic. Okay, so we've got the course, which is a huge undertaking.
Hmm.
Keep doing videos once a week for the channel, still teaching some,
Hmm. Yep.
and then your own music.
Yep.
And so for that, I mean, are you just chipping away, or is there a clear, I don't want to say end goal, but is there a clear like flag for any of these things? Like for the album, is it beyond just releasing it, or do you have anything like, I hope this album hits X number of streams, which I know isn't always the healthiest goal to have mentally, depending on how it goes. But do you have any like specific things you're trying to hit, or are you really just like you just said, doing the best you can, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Truly.
The Thank you. For the album, my goal is that I want enough people to like it to warrant me being able to tour.
Mm.
I really want to do a tour, and I won't be able to do that if no one wants to get a ticket. So that's all
Right.
I need. I just need enough people to like it to enable me to go and see people in real life in a performance setting because I miss that deeply. Since all my work now is online, it's
hmm
social. Obviously, we get to interact with each other and everything, but I need to perform and see people at actual face in
hmm
3D. So, yeah, I want to do that. This album is just the launch pad of me being able to be an artist and make another album. Really, I just want to keep making albums and see how far I can go and how many people can find it and enjoy it.
Fantastic. So with all these things you're doing, what does, and I know this changes day to day to day to day, which is why I love asking fellow musical creators, what does like template day in the life look like for you these days?
Okay. Um, okay, so I spend the morning without my phone and I just look at my dog and um, see what I feel like today. So if I'm feeling a little bit more recluse, I will edit, research, vocal arrange, compose, that sort of thing. And if I'm feeling just a bit more, fantastic, then I'll film. And I always have things to film because I've got like a spreadsheet of concepts and, things, reaction videos or whatever. And yeah, that's it. And then I don't get dressed until like much later in the afternoon because I do all of my workouts and stuff in my pajamas. I spend a lot of time in my pajamas. And then, yeah, after I do all my workouts, I'll pull myself together, film something, edit something, get get dressed, and just work until the night. Yeah,
Are you up
that's my
late
day.
working? Are you a night owl kind of worker, or do you shut it down at some point?
I have to force myself to shut it down. When I've got a particular project, I can just work until 3 or 4 in the morning and I don't
Hmm.
even realize it. So, yeah, I have alarms at 10 p.m. It's like, that's it, no more. Even if you're in the middle of something, you have to stop. And I try and wake up earlier to make sure that I'm so tired by the evening so that I don't become
Yeah.
nocturnal. Because I love the morning and I love the sun and everything, and I don't want to miss out on that part of the day, even though my body is like, yes, you do. You want to lock yourself in a dark room. But I'm like, no, I don't. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how I
Up,
manage
I
it.
think up early is, I mean, it really is how humans are meant to function. Like up with the
Yeah.
sun is a very real thing. Getting early morning, low
Mm-hmm.
angle sunlight
Mm,
apparently is extremely healthy for like energy and cortisol, and it actually sets a timer for your body to start shutting down like 12 to 14 hours later if you get that early morning sunlight. So if you're up late, you miss that sunlight, you're with artificial light until the wee hours, your sleep is going to be trash, which is going to
yeah.
trash productivity and everything else. All that really functions together. I've been learning a lot about that the last couple of years. Fitness and
Mm.
nutrition is like my biggest hobby outside of music, and which is my next question for you is what do you focus on outside of the music world? Hobbies, interests, whatever.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love plants. Um, I am a keen planty lady. I've got a lot of plants. I forage for things like mushrooms and plants, and yeah, I love growing stuff. I love baking. I love yoga and that sort of thing. I love martial arts. I love MMA, grappling, and dancing. So I have a joint problem. It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and all of my joints like to fall out of the socket, which is really inconvenient. So I had to focus a lot on strength to make sure that I'm not so flexible to the point where everything just falls out.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of that sort of thing, like really conscious strength and conditioning to make sure that I have a healthy vessel. And yeah, I love walking, exploring, like rock climbing. I live near a lot of mountains and waterfalls, and I love exploring. And one of my favorite things to do is just lay on the floor and just like just to heighten my senses. I don't know if you find that, but like if you, it's a helicopter outside. Sorry,
I
can you hear it?
could hear it. Yeah, it wasn't super loud on my end, but I
Oh,
could hear
okay.
it.
Okay. I love like practicing heightening my senses. So feeling things, smelling things, and hearing things, and yeah, like practicing presence and
Hmm.
gratitude is something
Hmm.
I really
Hmm.
enjoy. Oh, I love writing. I'm writing a book as well.
Oh, fantastic. I
Yeah.
was wondering if you were into reading. If you're a big reader.
Yes, I am. Most of the things I read are academic journals
Oh,
at the
sure, voice
moment.
science and such. Yeah.
Yeah, I read a lot of self-help books, like Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer,
Hmm.
Louise
Hmm.
Hay, all of that sort of thing. But yeah, in terms of the reading thing, it's mostly just yeah, to learn now
Awesome. All right,
at
we
this
have a
time.
few minutes. We're gonna get into a few questions from the Patreon community,
Oh, okay.
and then we'll wrap it up. All right, these first few questions are from Amanda Knott. First question from Amanda: What kind of range do you have?
Um, just looking at my keyboard.
You do not have to
Probably
demonstrate right now.
okay.
You could just tell us.
Probably how many? I don't know. I've got about 4 octaves. Can start um on a D, sort of a D sharp C3, and then I can go to like yeah, mm-mm-mm. Yeah, that in terms of the highest sort of whistle register. So I've got about 4 octaves.
Phenomenal. What singers do you like to impersonate?
Everyone. Um, oh, what do I like to impersonate? Good Lord. Oh, like Tony Braxton,
Mm.
like Fry, and don't leave me out in the rain. I love doing that. Just as for personal enjoyment.
Fantastic. I mean, you imitate pretty much everyone on your channel, right? I mean, whenever something comes up and you want to show someone the difference between a non-tilted larynx and a tilted larynx or more pharyngeal space or whatever, you'll demonstrate.
Yeah,
So you do a lot of demonstrations. Pretty much everyone.
I love doing that. It's fun. It's a learning experience. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
Next question from Amanda. What songs would you like to cover that you haven't done yet?
Oh, well, I'm going to make a cover. I think next week. I'm planning to do it next week of "Lonely Day." Gosh, "Lonely Day" by System of a Down,
Hmm.
and another one that I've got planned is "Frozen" by Madonna because it's got like this really interesting harmonic minor, like Eastern feel to it, and I just think the production is doesn't really highlight how good the song really is. So I want to sort of pull that out of it. So those two I've got coming. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Next from Jan Kite. She's from Australia.
All right.
Long-time subscriber to your channel. Thanks for putting out great content. I love the recent Celine Dion episode, which I found quite different to your other episodes. There are a plethora of reactors
Oh,
and vocal
me. Oh, I thought she
analysts.
was talking about
No, no,
you.
you.
Sorry.
This is for you. There are a plethora of reactors and vocal analysts on YouTube. What do you think has made you stand out from the others and be so successful? I could answer that, but go ahead.
Oh, don't. I don't know. Really, I would guess that um maybe I validate people that feel like they don't adult very well. Like because many people don't see an adult child in their daily lives, and I describe myself as a grown-up 6-year-old. So I think maybe people like that, and then maybe the replicating sounds. I yeah, I like to make a safe space for people,
Your
and
videos
maybe
are
they feel
very, very fun and very
oh
educational.
that's that's good.
Equal parts fun. Yeah, I was because I had watched your channel before, but it had been a while, and I was looking up some videos yesterday, and I was just laughing at the
Good.
quips and the little iMovie edits, but then like loving all the actual like deep vocal analysis that you get into in short order. Phenomenal, truly phenomenal.
Thank you.
Okay, next
Oh,
question
that's
from
lovely. Thank you.
Diane Antos. We've kind of answered this one, but you can give a little rehashing. When did your musical journey start and what prompted it?
Um, in terms of what, well, it started when I learnt flute at the age of 6. That was the catalyst of my love for music, but it came out of nowhere. I'm just extremely sensitive to sound, like to the point where I have a phobia of balloons because the popping of balloons makes me so upset that I like if I see a balloon, I just imagine its bitter end, and I can't stand the tension of that having that sound. I'm also like I call myself like a voice pervert as well. Like if someone has a really nice sounding talking voice, I just feel things. And the same way as if I someone has a talking voice that has certain frequencies that rub me up the wrong way, I feel it really, really deeply. And I've
Mm.
always had that, always. And I just think certain things managed to bring that out of me, like learning flute and then discovering my voice. Um, but yeah,
A voice
that's
pervert.
yeah, I
I'm
am a
gonna
voice
recycle that one. I love that.
Yeah, you should. And I call some of my videos laryngeal lustathon if they are particularly nerdy.
Okay, last question. This is from Dorothy Rosenberg. She has a long comment about how she loves your cover of Nine Inch Nails' Hurt.
Oh,
And then her question is, what sparks your interest in a song to the extent that you invest time and effort to recreating it in your own special voice? How do you put specific emotions into vocals? That's a great question.
that is a really good question. Um, I will, so in terms of choosing a song, like in the case of that one, I just thought the message was so stark and bleak and vulnerable, and I just thought those lyrics were so sort of self-loathing in a really non-flowery way. And I just thought,
Mm,
wow, this is so real. I want to tell this story as well. And so sometimes it's not lyrically though. Sometimes it's like when I was saying about that Madonna song. If there's something special about the harmony in terms of the chords or the melodies, I want to sing them. But before I cover a song, I always rework the melody a little bit to make sure that the intention is matched to the part of my voice where I can express that intention. So I'll probably have to change the key to make sure that the verses are low enough and give me space that if I want to change octaves. I do that a lot when I cover songs. I will sing the same melody in at least 2 octaves to get that same message portrayed in 2 different ways. So yeah, also I love melody, and even if it's like a hook melody and not a vocal part, I will probably be interested in doing a version of it where I can sort of recycle that melody and other elements. Maybe I can do it as a backing vocal and stuff like that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
any final words to the fans, the people listening
Oh, it
out there in the ether?
sounds like you're gonna behead me. Any last
Yes.
words?
Any final words?
Oh my gosh. Wow. In the bass voice as well. Now I really know you mean business. Um, big question. No, no.
No, no, no final words to the audience.
I don't think I have final words per se because that sounds like I have to say something really significant and poetic. Um, I just honestly am very happy to be here. I'm happy to just be exposed enough so that people like you found me and we can find each other and connect and learn from each other, and all with the support of such wonderful people, because I always say that I didn't realize how many kind, wonderful, generous people existed until I had this YouTube channel, from the subscribers to the people that I've managed to really connect with, like people like you and Elizabeth and Julia and stuff like that. And so, yeah, my final words are I'm happy to be here. And Yeah, I hope we can talk again at some point, Peter, because I want to learn more about your opera-ness.
I know
It's a really keen.
one
Yeah.
hour is not nearly long enough. There were a
Yeah.
bunch of things that I wanted to go way further into, but I was like, ah, I have a lot of I need broad strokes for the first time we chat, but we will most certainly
Yeah.
chat again, and we can just chat for fun sometime. It can be off the record.
Yeah, I would love that. Opera is, yeah, it's just like an untapped mine that I want to
Oh,
explore.
I am your robotic pickaxe for that mine. I know too much about opera and operatic singing and repertoire and such. Because I still do it all the time. I'm going to Vegas in 2 weeks for a world premiere with
Yeah.
Opera Las Vegas. I mean, it is my main hustle.
That is so exciting. So what is that? Is it every day operaing a certain show?
Um, there's more ebb and flow now because there's usually more gaps between when I'm off guesting somewhere performing at an opera house, and then I'll come back and I'll be in my house. And I like the last 2 weeks have been total monk mode on YouTube and recording projects and video
Wow.
editing and vocal editing and
Mm-hmm.
podcasting.
Mm.
But very soon I will turn the sails towards that world premiere and really start studying and practicing for that. So it ebbs and
Wonderful.
flows a lot.
I'm excited to follow everything that you're doing, and
Yes,
yeah, it's a
absolutely.
pleasure.
That was a perfect sequence of final words, by the way.
Really.
Yeah, really nice. Really nice
Thank you
message.
so much. You don't have to edit it in iMovie or anything.
No, I think the only thing we'll chop is just the that bit in the middle with the camera snafu, and otherwise we're good to go.
Wow, that is a record for me.
You've done very well. I'm very proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Lolly, it's
Thank you
been a
for having me.
pleasure. I will talk to you very soon, and I'll keep you
Yeah.
updated on the release and such of this pod.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to you soon, and you can tell me all about your adventures. It's really
I
exciting.
shall. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Lolly. I absolutely did to the highest degree, and I look forward to speaking to her much more in the future. If you enjoyed that conversation, I'm sure you'll enjoy this one with our fellow colleague and fellow vocal analyst, Elizabeth Jaroff, the charismatic voice. Go on, click it.